then you're just going to say we're on Islam.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Stop were arguing about our opening and whether or not we should alter the opening just before the beginning of the show, and we thought we'd just continue the discussion here. Yeah, if you've watched the show before, by now you should know what we're all about and what we stand for, what we do, etc., etc. If you want to call in at some point, we will post the Google Hangouts URL into the live streaming YouTube comments of the official Gin and Tonic Show, live stream, and you can join by clicking on that link and coming and chatting with us. We talk about Islam-related issues. This you already know. Do you want to get straight into that discussion we were just having, or?
Well, I'd just like to say that this is a platform which provides a discussion platform which displays the attempt of providing something about Islam which is not garnered towards any specific side. In other words, what we're trying to do is say, listen, I don't care whether you want to be a Muslim, a Christian, Zoroastrian, Rastafarian, Hindu, Sikh, it doesn't matter. But if you're interested in Islam, then by all means pop in, and we'll try and answer any question, address any comment, see what you have to say, what your view is. If you are a Muslim and you would like to raise something, this is what I think this is. This is a platform for exactly that. Something there where we know something about Islam because we've looked at the text. We don't understand all Muslims. We don't understand everything there is to understand about Islam. But we do have a solid base. And this is what we are providing. This is the input. This is the added value from our side. That we're trying to provide knowledge on the contents of what the texts say and some of the interpretations. And this is what I see as the Gin and Tonic Show, that we provide the Gin part, in other words, the knowledge on the Quran, but with a twinkle in the eye. In other words, we don't take everything so seriously. We don't take it as dogmatic as a Muslim would, but we're trying to take a look at it from the outside. And being atheists, we're not interested whether you believe something else or not. That is what I see the Gin and Tonic Show as.
Yeah. So should you want to continue out? How soon do you want to let guests in? Because as I was saying, I already have someone who wants to...
I just need... Well, let's make it 5... I think this is a pretty short discussion because at the end of the day we'll have to agree to disagree, because I maintain that Islam has a very distinct political agenda, that Islam's goal is to implement Sharia, and Islam's goal is to make people behave in a certain way on this planet while alive. Not only when you're dead, when you're dead, and when you're lying in the grave, and then what is going to happen, and whether your fingertips are going to be put together and all that. No, it is also about life, and this is why I call it political, because it says, no, I don't want democracy. I want the law of a God. I don't want the law of what people, but I want the law of this God. This is why I say it is worldly, and this is why I say there's a political agenda. And you are saying, no, we shouldn't even mention that it's political because it's only what Muslims make it, and that is individual.
Well, before I continue, just some context for people listening. So this arises from an argument we were having prior to the start of the show about whether or not it's... Well, I didn't like the way the show is always introduced and framed, because I disagreed with it, the way that Scott does, how he understands the concept or definition of Islam. And so what we're arguing about is Islam innately political or something along those lines, or can you say it's just a political ideology? And so my point is, my contention is, that Islam is whatever Muslims make it. So for some Muslims, they do articulate it as a political program, but many others don't. So I don't think you can make that kind of... My understanding is that a religion is whatever its adherents make it. So if you look at Islamic history, you have just an overwhelming number of incoherent sects and movements and texts and traditions. I mean, any Islam you point to, you can find the opposite somewhere at some point at some time. So I don't think it's fair to make... I don't think you can generalize and just say Islam is a political ideology. I think that's going too far. I wouldn't say that. Does that make sense?
No, because I maintain it's like communism plus a religion.
How do you think it's like communism?
Well, because a communist is somebody who adheres to certain dogma. There's a goal. There's a reason in their life. There's a way of life, a way of going about your daily chores, which is governed by a certain dogmatic style. And I see the same in Islam, where you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is you kowtow to your God. Then you do something, but you don't do this just because you feel like it, but you first need to check with your God whether you're allowed to do that. Are you allowed to wear this? Are you allowed to eat this? Are you allowed to use certain products? So your whole life is governed towards obedience to this God. There's nothing that you are allowed to do without first checking with your God. And then all your laws, all your rules, everything you do, your cooperation, your coexistence, your integration with society depends solely on your God. So everything that you do is governed by this. And this is like communism, where communism, you get up in the morning and you check, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to do this? You're constantly being bombarded by propaganda. You are told how you interact with people. You are told that all the resources are commonly shared and blah, blah, blah. And it's in Islam as well. Resources are commonly shared. It's the ummah that counts. The personal suffering only contributes to the well-being of the group. And this is why I'm saying it's not exactly, I mean, we've been through this. It's not exactly communism. I'm just using this as a confrontative argument. But I'm saying that there is this political element which I see as being negating any worldly rule or law or anything, and everything has to be checked with God.
Okay, well, I mean, I've already articulated my deep disagreement with this analog from previous episodes, so I won't go over that. But yeah, as I said, I think it depends on the individual. So some people it's like that for them, other people don't. Now, how soon do you want to open it up to guests? Because I'm already getting frantic messages of people wanting to.
Well, let's do it now. I mean,
all right. I'll open.
Gathered some news because I wanted to speak a little bit about blasphemy, but it's no problem. Then I'll just go here, dig, put it in here, and
yeah. And what?
I'm trying to get Google to accept that I want to put a comment into the comments.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so Jolly Drew. Let's see what he says. Nihilistic sociopath. That's quick.
That's a nice name. Welcome to the show. Can you hear us? Nihilistic sociopath.
Good morning.
Hello.
I didn't realize it was that account that I was logged into on Gmail, actually. That's okay.
You have the same problem that I have, that you sometimes don't know who you are in the morning.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Right, so I listened to your previous show, and I had a number of thoughts on a few things that were discussed last time. And I listened this time too, and I mentioned them to Klingschor, so I thought it would be good to have a chance to discuss those with you.
Yeah, go ahead. Hit us.
All right. So, well, I guess I should declare a couple of things about myself. Some of those are quite relevant, actually, given the opening to this one. But firstly, I'm an atheist. I guess that's not too uncommon for your audience. The second thing is that I'm a communist, so that could be an interesting discussion later as well. But I guess the first thing to talk about, or the first thing that it would make sense to start with. So the theme of the last hangout seemed to be, or at least partly, was this relationship between Islam and terrorism, or Islam and behavior in a broader context. And I know that you guys had some thoughts on that, and I have some thoughts on that as well. So you guys happy to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. No, go ahead, yeah.
All right, so I think the basic problem with this kind of, obviously it's a commonly had discussion these days, but I think the basic problem with this line of reasoning is that as soon as you grant that you're engaging in an activity of hypothesis construction, where fundamentally what you're trying to do is to make predictions, accurate predictions about the world, and provide some kind of explanatory power. And I think the idea is that Islam causes particular behaviors in virtue of some unestablished psychological mechanism. I think there's a lot of problems before you even look at the empirical stuff, just in terms of logical consistency of that idea. So obviously that there's a large number of Muslims. You guys probably know what the figures are better than me, 1.6 billion, I think. Is that right?
Something approximately.
Yeah. And so within that very large set of people that identify as Muslim, or that we would identify as Muslim, there's a very big range of behaviors, right? So I myself know Muslims that eat halal food. I also know Muslims that eat bacon. I know Muslims that get drunk, and I know Muslims that pray 5 times a day. I know Muslims that wear miniskirts, and I know Muslims that wear a headscarf. So there's a very wide range of behaviors within this very large set of people called Muslims. And the problem is that this relationship between Islam and behavior doesn't really account for this difference in behaviors that we see. And so it seems very clear that there then needs to be something independent of the religion that accounts for this difference in behaviors or diversity of behaviors that we observe, right? Now, usually I think what the response is to say is that it's radical Islam rather than Islam. I don't know if that's... I guess I should let you respond to that to begin with, rather than speak for you.
I cannot... I don't have any substance yet to say anything.
Sorry, you don't have any...
Well, you've said you're an atheist, you're a communist, and there's certain things in Islam that you think are relevant. But I haven't heard yet what it is that you think is relevant about Islam.
Well, I think CK is basically this nihilistic. What do I call these?
Just call me
sociopath. Sociopath.
No, you can call me CK. It's fine.
All right, CK is the profile who was messaging me under. CK is basically articulating in a very concise fashion and without my normal hysterics. I think some of the similar points that I was making previously, which is that religion fails as a model to predict human behavior. It isn't a significant cause.
Well, I obviously didn't explain it very well. What I understood the claim to be is that there is some relationship between Islam and terrorism, and in a broader sense, some relationship between Islam and a particular set of behaviors.
Ah, okay. Now I'm getting it. Now I'm getting the gist, I think, a little bit better. So what you're saying, there is a linkage, whatever the case may be. Have you observed this, or are you just reiterating what we said last time?
No. He's saying there's no link, or that there is not a significant link. I think.
Well, let's just make sure that I've understood the claim that you're making correctly. Is your view that there is some relationship between Islam and terrorism?
Yes, there is a link between Islam and yes.
Right. So what I'm saying is that claim doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
I'm giving an argument that claim doesn't make any sense. Right.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
So did you follow what I was saying, or would you like me to explain it again?
No. What I understood is that you're saying is that a person is not necessarily linked to terrorism. It all depends on how that person evaluates his own or her own position.
No.
No. Right, then I got it wrong.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that there's a number of people that we can identify as being Muslim, and within that set of people there are a very wide range of behaviors that are exhibited within that set of people.
Oh, I thought that is what I was saying.
No, I think the implications of what you said are slightly different.
Okay.
I wouldn't restrict the other factors to simply be their evaluation of themselves.
So you're saying a terrorist is a terrorist, and regardless of the religious or ideology or whatever background they have?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying either. Although I'm not sure that claim's false. I mean, it's a tautology, so can't really disagree with it.
No, it's not intended as a tautology. It's saying what you are saying is there is no link between a Muslim and being a terrorist. So if there is no link between being a Muslim and terrorist, 90% of all terrorists today are Muslims. So this is just coincidence.
Right. Sorry, what percentage of all terrorists?
90% of all terrorists today are also Muslims. So that's just coincidence.
That's false.
Okay, are you going to argue whether it's 90 or 91 or 89 or what?
Well, where are you getting that statistic?
Yeah, where are you getting that statistic?
No, this is a number, an arbitrary number, where I'm saying most terrorists today are Muslims.
Well, that's not the case in Europe, for example. I mean, I already cited the Europol data. The overwhelming majority of terrorism in Europe is from various separatists.
Well, it's not the case globally.
Now we have to define what terrorism is, because I know that there's a discrepancy between what people call terrorism.
Well,
I hate these discussions where you're only talking about this and that, but you're never ever going to get anywhere, because I know that I've looked at all these things, and then I've looked at these statistics, and then it turns out that terrorism is defined differently in different countries, and different acts are defined differently and labeled differently, and this is the problem in the whole thing. Yeah. I don't know how to get to the bottom of this.
Well, we can use the CIA definition of terrorism.
I don't know the CIA definition of terrorism.
Using violence or the threat of violence to further political aims.
No, you see, I don't agree with that.
All right, premeditated, politically motivated violence.
No. There's nothing political. I take the United Nations attempt at a definition, which is being blocked by Muslims, and that is that it's any act of aggression towards civilian population.
But how do you know it's being blocked?
Because they are blocking it. Because they are vetoing it.
But okay, so. But I hadn't heard this before.
There's 53 countries.
No, I'm not aware of this either.
There's 53 countries which form a bloc in the United Nations, and they are the ones who are vetoing the definition for terrorism.
What's like? Would you read it on what news source?
Oh, good. I made a 45-minute video on this, so there's a lot of news sources on this.
Oh, I'll look into it whilst you guys are talking. So. Keep going.
No, I'm fine to go with that definition. Even according to that definition, the claim would still be false.
Okay, so what would you then correct it as being?
As a percentage?
Well, if you don't want to use a percentage, do you want to group it? Is there any kind of quantitative argument that you want to make?
No.
Okay, so there are terrorists everywhere on the planet, and some happen to be Muslims.
Well, that's not the claim that I'm making, no. I mean, that's certainly true. Okay,
so what is the claim that you're making?
Well, I'm just pointing out a contradiction in the view that you're advancing, which is that if you're saying that there is some, that Islam causes terrorism, and there's a large number of people that are Muslim, and we see that there are some Muslims that engage in acts of terrorism and some that don't, there needs to be something independently of the religion that accounts for that difference in behavior.
No, it's not that absolute. I'm not saying that every Muslim is a terrorist.
Sorry, if I could just sort of finish the argument. The point is that merely appealing to religion doesn't provide any predictive utility in determining who will and will not carry out acts of terror. Now, there are alternative models that actually do provide predictive utility. And I don't know what your reasons are for rejecting those. We can get into that question too. But just on the face of it, I'm saying that there is a logical contradiction that exists within the claim that you're making.
Okay, the way that I work is very simple. I'm saying that, number one, if you are a Muslim, if you self-identify as a Muslim, there is one attribute, there's only one single attribute that you need to comply with, and that is that you believe that the Quran is of divine origins. That's it.
Well, that's not true.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. This is me. I'm saying you are a Muslim if you believe that. If you adhere to the Quran being of divine, no, if you believe that the Quran is of divine origin,
Are you familiar with the idea of a family resemblance?
Follow certain steps which are governed in the Quran. Now, the Quran does not tell you to pray 5 times. It doesn't tell you a whole lot of things that Muslims are doing, but it does tell you that you need to fight for your God. So, for me, number one factor, a Muslim is somebody who thinks that the Quran is holy, that the Quran is something from a God, and he needs to follow what this God is telling him to do. And number two, I find in there a sentence which says, you need to do X. Then, for me, it is very straightforward to understand that the Muslim is somebody who follows sentence X.
All right. Well, there are some more interesting problems with what you just said, but I think the main thing is that you haven't actually responded to the argument that I'm making.
Well, I have, because I don't agree that you can say that there is nothing that makes a Muslim. It's just that he says I'm a Muslim. Okay, so what does that mean? Nothing.
Well, that's not a necessary component of the argument I'm making. Even if there was a fact of the matter as to what constitutes a Muslim, it wouldn't affect the argument that I'm making. So that's not an objection. Although my view is
you're not making an argument. You are refuting. You are saying that my argument is flawed because there are Muslims who are not terrorists.
Right. Well, if I'm providing a chain of reasoning to show that your argument is false, that's also an argument.
Of course, yes.
Right.
But you're saying there are Muslims, but you are refuting something that I'm not claiming.
Are you making the claim that there's a causal relationship between Islam and terrorism?
No, I am saying that there is a relationship and that there is a sentence in the Quran which every Muslim must believe is of divine origins, which tells them, which commands them to fight for their God.
So you're saying it's a correlation and it's just a coincidence?
No, I'm not saying it's a coincidence. I'm saying there's a correlation.
Well, if it's a correlation and you're not saying that there's a causal connection, then you're saying it's a coincidence.
No, there is a causal connection.
Ah, right. So if you're arguing that Islam plays a causal role,
yes,
presumably in virtue of some unestablished psychological mechanism.
Yes, if they would not be Muslims, they would not be terrorists.
Then my argument has refuted what you've just said.
No, your argument has not refuted what I just said. What I'm saying is there is a link that inherently provides the possibility for a Muslim to be a terrorist.
Right, but then that's not a causal connection.
Because most Muslims are better than their gods and better than their scripture, so they are not terrorists. So I'm saying is that not every Muslim is a terrorist, because a Muslim is also a human being, and the human being in a Muslim prohibits them from being terrorists, even though their God commands them to be.
All right. Do you understand the difference between a causal connection and a correlation?
A causal connection is something that causes something, and a correlation is that it's just there.
Appealing to a tautology is not helpful. Can you define it in terms other than itself? Because it just sounds like you actually don't know what the distinguishing properties are between a cause and a correlation, and that's why you're making this mistake, because you're contradicting yourself.
I'm contradicting myself. Okay, I don't know how then let's assume I do not know what the difference is between a cause and a correlation.
Okay, so the idea with causation is that the two events in question are not separable, right? So if you want to take the example of gravity, for example, it isn't separable that masses be attracted to each other, right?
Okay.
So correlation, on the other hand, is separable.
Okay, fine.
So something like rich people tend to vote for Republicans. There's no causal link. They're separable. It's possible for a rich person to vote Democrat, right? But it's not possible for masses to not be attracted to each other. Those would be the key properties that distinguish a correlation and a cause.
Okay.
So are you now retracting the claim that Islam causes terrorism?
No.
Okay, then how do you account for Muslims that don't?
Just because I don't use the same terminology does not mean that I don't know what it is. I think I made this very clear. I just said a Muslim is X and a subset of X is Y. So a Muslim is somebody who accepts X and the subset is Y, so a Muslim has to accept Y.
If you're using a different notion of cause, we can use your definition as well. It doesn't change the concepts. The point is that there is no causal role with the way that cause is used conventionally in academic literature between Islam and terrorism, according to what you're, and I'm just taking what you're saying.
Could the people who shot the Charlie Hebdo editors have done the same without being Muslim?
Yes.
All right, now I'm saying it's not possible. There you have the difference.
Can you explain why? I mean, there's no logical contradiction in a non-Muslim shooting someone.
I thought that was obvious. The Charlie Hebdo editors were shot because they were caricaturing Muhammad.
All right. Are you familiar with the difference between causation and motivation?
Here you go again. Causation and motivation. A cause is something
well, I think you're blurring.
That initiates it, and a motivation is something that motivates you. So if I am motivated to kill somebody, there is a cause. No, I don't see the difference between motivation and causation. Not in this case. There is a difference in other cases that I can build, but in this case I don't.
Okay. So do you understand the argument that I was making initially? Maybe we should just stick with that for now.
I understand the argument that you were making initially, where you are saying that there is no causation between a terrorist and Islam.
All right. I haven't heard what amounts to a response for that yet. I didn't actually think that this section would take that long, but so let's say with the gravity example, right? You could say that gravity, for example, would cause two masses to be attracted to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make the same case, you want to make the same claim about Islam and terrorism.
No, that's exactly what I'm not saying. I've explained this now 5 or 10 times. That's exactly what I am not saying.
So you're not saying that Islam causes terrorism?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is
wait.
and that there is a correlation, but it's not like gravity. You cannot extricate gravity from two masses attracting each other. That's exactly the point that you are making. You cannot differentiate between the two. If you have the one, you automatically have the other. In Islam, it is not the case. Not every Muslim is a terrorist.
So in what sense do you mean that Islam causes terrorism?
Do I need to go through everything again?
Well, you're making an empirical claim, right?
I'm saying that a Muslim believes X, and part of X is Y. That means a Muslim believes Y. Whether he acts on Y is a totally different case, and this is where Klingschor comes, and he says, perfectly correct, not every Muslim does this. He knows Muslims that drink alcohol. I know Muslims that drink alcohol. So not every Muslim adheres to the text.
Well, it just sounds like you're contradicting yourself over and over again.
Well, yes, because you see black and white. You see gravity attracts masses, or bodies, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, no, it's not like that. There are nuances in between. There are differentiations. Yes, there is a part of Islam that says you need to fight for your God, but not everybody fights for their God.
Right, which would refute the fact that Islam causes that behavior. I mean, that's the definition of falsification right there.
Okay.
Is that there's an observation that isn't consistent with the predictions that your model makes.
My car can go 285 kilometers per hour. Number one, not every car goes 285 kilometers per hour, and number two, I don't always drive 285 kilometers per hour.
Right, and that's exactly why the claim that cars cause objects to move at 200 miles per hour would be false. Exactly for the same reason that your claim is false.
I'm saying that a car can go 285 kilometers per hour. That's my statement. So a petrol engine, a combustion engine or electric engine, or let's say an engine.
Right, but if you were making the claim that designing a car would cause the car to move at 200 miles per hour, then that claim would be false. You're giving another example of showing how your reasoning fails.
Okay, if my reasoning fails, then it fails.
Okay. Is that a concession, or?
No, I don't see a point in arguing the same point again and again and again. I've made my point. I've demonstrated how it's logical. I've demonstrated how it's feasible. It's there. It's on the table. It makes sense. It's substantiated, and you're saying it doesn't make sense. Okay, what more can I do?
Well, I don't think it could be said to have made sense if you've contradicting yourself numerous times.
In fairness,
stop.
You have said. You have contradicted yourself because you were saying it isn't a cause, and you said it was a cause, and you said it wasn't a cause. Like
okay,
literally
if the word cause, then I need to be more careful with how I select my words. Okay, what is the cause for a car going 285? It's an engine, right?
No.
You see, this is why we're sitting on words here. And this is what makes it very difficult and very tedious, because the concept, what I'm saying is an engine causes a car to move at a certain speed. It can. Not every car does it, and not all the time. And that is exactly what I'm saying.
That's the point that I'm making. You're simply misusing the word cause.
Okay, you see, we're on words. All right, so then I'm misusing the word cause, and this is because I use
that makes a radical
difference. The wrong way, I'm wrong, and this I don't agree with. I'm sorry.
Well, that makes a radical difference to the claim that you're making. If you're saying that it's just a correlation, then I agree with that.
No, but it's also the cause, because without the cause, you wouldn't have it. So, no, it's not just a correlation. It's more than that, because a Muslim, this is my point. You cannot have a Charlie Hebdo assassin without being a Muslim. In other words, a Jain or an Amish would not kill the editors of Charlie Hebdo.
All right. Maybe there's a better way to go about this. Do you agree that we're both engaging in a practice where we're trying to come up with a model that accurately predicts people's behavior?
Sorry, I was sidetracked now by the writing. I'm sorry, you'll have to repeat that.
Do you agree that we're both attempting to predict the way that people will behave?
No.
Okay. Do you agree that you're making an empirical claim?
Yes.
Okay. If your empirical claim doesn't make predictions, then how is it to be tested?
I didn't say. No, you're making two different statements.
Okay.
I didn't say it can't. I said we are not today.
Sorry, we're not. What are we not doing today?
You're saying we're trying to make predictions. I'm not. I said you can make predictions using Islam, but it's not that I'm trying to make predictions here now.
Okay, what I'm asking is, if you're making an empirical claim, what would it mean for your claim to be false? It would mean that there are a certain set of observations that are inconsistent with the claim that you're making.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So how would we test your claim?
Well, show me an Amish who has killed an editor of Charlie Hebdo.
That wouldn't be relevant to the claim that you're making.
Yes, that would falsify my claim.
No, because the claim that you're making is that Islam causes terrorism.
No, I'm saying that a non-Muslim would never kill an editor of Charlie Hebdo.
Well, that's a completely different claim to the one that we started off with. So
no,
are you agreeing that Islam doesn't cause terrorism then? Because that's the claim that I'm interested in talking about.
I do not condone what you just said. I don't agree with what you just said.
Okay, so
that is correct.
Do you think Islam causes terrorism?
Can I ask a question?
No, yes. It can cause terrorism.
Can I just ask one question? I'm very sorry.
Sure.
Would nihilist, would you say that Islam causes the killing of someone who disrespects it?
No.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat?
No.
Well, I think if you say that no one else except a Muslim would kill someone for drawing a picture of the Prophet, then how can you not say that Islam causes? Not all Muslims do it, but I mean, what else is the cause? Maybe not terrorism is cause, but let's just get technical. Does Islam cause the killing of people who disrespect Islam?
No. I mean, the problem with that claim is that it would be refuted by the same argument that I made earlier. Merely changing the behavior isn't a refutation of the argument. You could apply it to any behavior: drinking alcohol, eating bacon, whatever it might be. The point is that there can't be a causal link if the two things are separable, right? And it's clearly the case. It's clearly true that there are Muslims that do engage in acts of terror and Muslims that don't. So there has to be something independently of the religion that accounts for that difference in behavior. And if there is a difference in behavior, then appealing to Islam, the religion, isn't actually explaining anything. There is a third alternative that actually does explain things. And I'm willing to offer what that is, by the way.
Might I make a shitty analogy to the Bible and Christians?
No.
People might be more familiar with that.
No, why bring in the Bible now? Then you're confusing it even more, I think.
Well, no, because I make the same point, but with an example that people can relate to more.
But what does it help to bring now something else?
All right. Fine.
Show what happens in the Bible. This doesn't help us understand what happens. What it says in the Quran.
Never mind.
Well, no, it's an analogy, right? Analogies.
But we have all the texts in the Quran. Why go to the Bible now? If we're talking about Islam, we have all the texts in the Quran.
Well, there's
nothing
special about the Quran.
Okay, then use the
nothing
I'm just trying to get somewhere, because we're talking and talking and talking, but we're not getting anywhere.
Nihilist, would you say that? Can you give me an example of any kind of ideology that causes something?
No. That's exactly the point that I'm making, is that it's an incoherent claim to say that an ideology plays a causal role, right? Because you can
you're
never
saying that no ideology can cause anything.
Exactly.
So, like, being a Hindu does not cause you to worship Hindu gods.
Correct.
Yeah, I totally disagree with this.
Look,
well, how would you, if it was the case, that Hinduism caused Hindus to worship Hindu gods, how would you account for Hindus that don't worship Hindu gods? That's by definition falsification of an empirical claim which you're making. I mean, that's just the scientific method, which I assume.
But I don't think you can bring the scientific method into something like religion, where it's not based on.
We're talking about
no.
There is no other way to.
No, it's quite correct. No, you can. Because this is a real claim. We're talking about the claim, not about.
We're making an empirical claim. We're not talking about married bachelors, right?
Exactly.
We're talking about something empirical. Empirical claims have a very set procedure for verification.
Well, obviously, if the question is that
we have a notion of falsification, which is the way that we show that claims are false empirically, right? So if you're making the claim that Hinduism causes someone to pray to Hindu gods, and I show you a Hindu that doesn't pray to Hindu gods, I falsified your claim, right? In the same way that if I show you two masses that don't experience an attractive force, I falsify gravity. It's no different.
So.
Yes, there is a difference.
And this shouldn't be
that absolute. This is the problem.
It shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, presumably you all have Muslim friends, I would think, right? And you understand that there's a range of ways in which they behave. They don't all behave in a certain way. There might be some similarities, but there isn't one homogeneous particular set of behaviors that they all exhibit, right? It's more like a family resemblance.
I feel impelled to use a biblical example because I think it really will illustrate this point. Right? So some Christians will say, I oppose gay sex because the Bible says so. But most Christians don't follow most of the rules in the Bible. The ones right before it, the ones right after it, on shellfish, tattoos, whatever. So obviously they're actually using an extra biblical criteria. There are extra biblical factors that are influencing their choice of which parts of the Bible they actually pay attention to and which they do not. So the Bible in and of itself actually fails to account for the behavior. There's something else that's influencing what is being drawn upon here. So similarly with Islam, it's just saying Islam or theology of the Quran fails. And we can see this over and over and over again throughout Muslim history. Right? Muslims continually have ignored the rulings on homosexuality, the rulings on wine drinking. So Islam in and of itself completely fails as a causal explanation for Muslim behavior. There has to be something else that is actually dictating this behavior and how things are interpreted. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense to anyone?
Actually,
I'm actually not sure.
I agree with you.
Even though you were arguing
that, I just saw a comment that is putting
All
it
right, one at a
together.
time, one at a time.
We're assuming
Sorry.
that there's only one cause. If you try to look for any one thing that causes this action, you're not going to find it.
I don't
Maybe
think that's
the
true.
wrong word. Maybe it's not a cause that we're looking for, but that the correlation is what we're looking for, because I don't think you can find anything that has one cause besides things in physics. You know,
I don't actually think that is true.
so you can't just say Islam.
Okay, can I give an example, right? Let's take Palestine, right? Now, before they were Islamists, they were fighting against Israel, and then after they were Islamists, they were fighting against Israel, right? So Islam actually, you have a case where
There are Christian Palestinians, you know.
Yeah. So actually, it just completely fails. Like, we can show how actually, if you even take away Islam, the behavior stays the same, or you have similar kinds of behavior. So it just completely fails as a causal explanation, right? In that situation, for example. So it isn't just a sufficient thing of saying, oh, it's only one amongst many causes. It doesn't even seem to have any detectable cause at all.
But in the Charlie Hebdo killings, that is totally not the case.
Well, no. See, again, if you look at the context, like Sharif Kouachi was radicalized by U.S. foreign policy. So this is a manifestation of that radicalization.
If a Jew killed a Nazi journalist that was putting out racist propaganda of Hitler's, and would you say that was because he was a Jew? Would you say that was caused by him being a Jew?
If the Torah says kill people who talk badly about Jews or kill Nazis, then yes, I would say that the Jewish.
Right, and if it didn't?
Then no.
Well,
or if it was just one time, you know, like, are you denying that Islam gets a little violent with disbelievers, let's just say?
I'm not really sure what to make of that claim.
I'm saying... Sorry, go ahead, Jin.
Well, I'm just trying to elaborate. If you join the club of Islam and you want to leave and it kills you, what is the cause for being killed when you cause Islam if it's not Islam?
I don't see... Okay, so I go back to what I said before, that changing the behavior wouldn't change anything, because not all Muslims would kill an apostate.
Right.
So there would have
No.
There would have to be.
It's not that way.
There would have to be something independent of the religion that accounts for that difference in behavior.
So are you saying somebody will kill an apostate even though he's not a Muslim?
Oh, I mean, it's logically possible, certainly. I'm sure it's.
Out of this discussion, there is nothing that I can add. It does not make sense to me.
Well, I'm certain that that's.
It makes sense to me.
I'm certain that that's happened. You don't think a Christian has ever killed another family member for leaving the religion in the whole of history? I'm certain that it's happened in a number of religions.
I am saying if a Muslim, I'm not saying a Christian. If a Christian leaves the Christian fold, a Christian will kill a Christian. Do you think that a Christian leaving the Christian fold will be killed by a Muslim for leaving the Christian fold?
Sorry, ask me the question again.
Okay, I'll make a different example. If you take a Muslim who says, I am a Muslim, I believe in Allah, and the Quran is my God, and blah, blah, blah. And then he decides, oops, this is not for me, I'm going to leave Islam. Do you think that an Amish can kill a Muslim for leaving Islam?
I don't think it makes a difference, because the claim that you've made has already been falsified.
You sound like a Muslim where he says everything is scientifically correct in the Quran, and then you show him where it's scientifically not correct. He says, well, that is a miracle.
No,
you're checking the get out of jail free card now.
No, it sounds like when we talk about stoning, and they're like, well, it never really happens. Okay.
No, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. What he's saying makes perfect sense to me, and you can't just ridicule it like that. I mean, it's empirically the case. Islam fails as an explanation for people's behavior. We have Muslims who follow it and Muslims who don't. So Islam, in and of itself, doesn't tell us anything. There has to be something else.
No one thing does, though.
I don't know.
One thing.
But you haven't even. Sorry.
Hello, could I say something?
I think it's a much simpler analysis than that, right? You're making a very clear empirical claim, and that claim generates expectations, as all empirical claims do, right? Because they need to be falsifiable in order to be testable, and yours fails the test. There's nothing more to the discussion than that.
No, it doesn't. It's a necessity for an apostate being killed that it's the same group. You cannot have a member of a different group killing somebody for leaving a different group. That does not work.
What do you think something being falsifiable means?
How are you going to start with the words and how it can mean? So it doesn't help. I'm looking at a very practical example. I'm saying an Amish will not kill a Muslim for leaving Islam. That's it. I don't care what you call this. I don't care whether you call this falsifiable or not. I am saying an Amish will not kill a Muslim for leaving Islam. You are saying falsifiable. Well, falsify it.
Well, lots of Muslims don't kill Muslims for leaving Islam. So
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is you need to be a Muslim to kill a Muslim leaving Islam.
No,
there is no exception.
The problem with that is that you're not the event that you're talking about doesn't support the claim.
Pause. Alasa, can you please mute your microphone because there's a lot of background noise that's coming out of it. Sorry, continue.
The problem is that the event that you're talking about wouldn't support the claim that you were making anyway. It would be like saying, would a black person kill another black person for being black? And then if the answer is no, that would then substantiate the claim that being white causes you to be racist.
False analogy.
Okay, why?
Because a black cannot change to white. It's not out of his own doing that he chooses to be black.
Yeah, but what someone is being killed for is irrelevant, right? It could be being
No, it's not. This is the point. That's exactly the point.
No, why?
That's exactly the point.
Well,
I choose to be a Muslim, or maybe I'm born into a Muslim community, so I adhere to the Muslim, credo. Then I change my mind and I'm getting killed, but I will never be killed by a member of the other group.
Well, I don't see why that's purely arbitrary.
I really don't understand how you can deny that if you leave Islam, Islam says kill. It's not Islam that says that. Like I totally.
No, that's not the claim.
That's not the claim. I didn't make that claim.
No. Jin or Spam is making that claim. Do you reject that claim? That if you leave
Islam,
is not
a discussion over what the scripture says. This is a discussion over
the scripture is irrelevant.
Hopefully that's about what scripture says. This is what this is about.
The Quran is irrelevant.
I'm talking about something else.
No. The scripture is irrelevant. That should have been made clear from the beginning.
Well, no.
That's not clear. I haven't explained the argument correctly.
There is only one point that makes a Muslim, and that is he believes that the Quran is of divine origin.
There's no factor that
What is Islam without the scripture? What is Islam without the word of God? I don't understand.
There's no fact of the matter as to what makes a Muslim a Muslim.
Hold on.
I
We have a lot of
the
people.
definition.
Pause. We have a lot of people in here. Can those who aren't talking wait until a little later to talk? Because the discussion's quite active at the moment. Otherwise, we're just having a lot of background noise and people typing, and it's a bit distracting. Sorry, continue.
Wait, do you mean me too then?
No. If you're contributing, then you can say no.
Discussion is different.
Klingschor, have you ever discussed Robert Pape's work on here?
I may have mentioned it.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
What about it specifically?
I can't remember. I'm just trying to think in what connection, but I've definitely.
Robert Pape analyzed. He went and he really extensively researched, like all the documents that are actually available online. Everything's been at least twice independently verified. Of every single instance of suicide bombing since 1980, approximately. Right.
315 attacks
and
as part of about 18 campaigns.
And
that there's little connection between suicide terrorism and Islamic fundamentalism, or any of the world's religion. Rather,
now you're skipping around somewhere else again.
Sorry, if I could just finish the quote.
No, because now you're skipping around into a different area again. Why can't you stick on one point?
No, it's not. I can explain to you how it relates if you don't see that yet. But the quote goes on to say, rather, what nearly all suicide terrorist attacks have in common is a specific secular and strategic goal to compel modern democracies to withdraw military forces from territory that the terrorist considers to be their homeland.
I mean,
right.
I don't.
Okay, so you don't see how it relates. I'll explain.
I don't disagree with that. Just a point in politically, Tamil Tigers used to use suicide bombers, but that was just against other people who lived there already, not against like Americans or anything. But they weren't Muslims either; they were Hindus. So Hindu Tamils were.
No. Tamil Tigers were Marxist atheists.
I'm talking about the Hindu Tamil Tigers in. No, I'm sorry, not Tamil Tigers. I'm saying Tamil Tigers. Hindu Tamils. My bad. Not Tamil Tigers. Tamil Tigers is a very specific group. Not that.
Well, it was only the Tigers that did suicide bombing.
But the Hindu Tamils did do suicide bombing, and they're not Muslim. I'll give you that. But it's not because it was anti.
Yeah, well, neither are the atheist ones that did suicide bombing.
I'm just saying that the definition of a suicide bombing versus an imperialist power is not true, because if they've done it against themselves.
Well, no, because they were fighting against the Sri
Lankan government is an imperialist power.
I mean, first you said that it was foreign armies invading their land, but now you're gonna say that they're supported by a. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I think you're confusing a number of things. I was reading a quote from Pape. Are you disagreeing with something in the quote?
Yes, that's what I was just saying. I was just saying it's not always against.
I'll read it again.
Why are we now discussing Pape? We're going from here to there to around the world.
I'll explain the reason. I'll explain the reason why Pape is relevant, but I'll read the quote again.
I'm sorry, forget what I said. Just continue.
Well, no, I do want to address what you said, because what Pape is saying is that nearly all suicide terrorist attacks have that in common. Not all of them. It's not the case. He's not making the claim that all of them are to remove a military occupation.
I thought that's what you said, but all right.
No. Nearly all is what he's saying. But the reason this relates goes back to what I was saying before, that if you're making an empirical claim, then the only criteria by which you compare empirical claims is the predictions that it makes, right? And there's an alternative model that exists that does make extremely accurate predictions about people's behavior, which is, broadly speaking, politics. We don't have to get into the specifics. And the Islam cause that you're advancing completely fails, right? It's clearly true that there are Muslims that don't engage in acts of terror. It's clearly true that there are non-Muslims that engage in acts of terror. So Islam doesn't seem to offer anything in terms of explanatory power for really predicting anything.
Can I ask?
And that's why it's completely absent in all of the academic literature on the subject.
I mean, I'd say it's absent because of political correctness, but okay.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be difficult. It wouldn't be difficult to show that, right? but no one is able to show that. In fact, people are able to show the opposite very easily.
Can I ask Nihilistic a question?
Sure.
Nihilistic, if you and I are sitting together and I convince you to hurt or kill someone, if you did, would I bear any responsibility for it? Or am I in some way responsible in that act that you did?
I don't think that there's a robust notion of responsibility that's coherent.
You're saying that I have no
I mean, look at my
responsibility?
name. I'm a moral nihilist, so that's sort of a ridiculous question.
Why it is ridiculous? I can
Well,
convince
if I'm a
people
moral nihilist, my view is that responsibility, being praiseworthy and blameworthy, is logically incoherent. Right? One follows from the other.
Well, that's all. Thanks a lot. I'll join in later on for the Hadith today.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can I say some things about what has been said?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel there's a kind of a misconception about like this falsification method. I mean, like you talked first about like correlation and causation. And first of all, you have to understand. That's words. It's concepts. And when you talk about correlation, you're probably talking about like at least some kind of indication that of causes, but there can be more than one cause. It's like we talked about this before. It's like the nature-nurture debate. We know that there are genes that are associated with, for example, sociopathy. But
no, that's not true.
It's not true? Okay.
No.
But let's say we don't have to take sociopathy. We can take another example. There are genes associated with, I mean, the whole field of epigenetics, for example. You have genes that it may give rise to a certain feature, but in order to do that, you need environmental conditions. And I think also that claim that if you have a hypothesis that all swans are white, then if you find one single black swan, the hypothesis is falsified. But the hypothesis doesn't necessarily have to be that black and white. It can be, for example, there is a statistic correlation between a certain gene and certain behavior or certain feature. And that statistic correlation can be tested. For example, if you have a population of, say, 1 million people, you can find that the people that has these genes, and also maybe if you have the environmental condition also, it becomes even stronger, then you will find a certain percentage, a certain correlation that this feature will be more common in these people that has this gene than of those who don't. So that's, for example, if you look at quantum mechanics, then it's a very, very falsifiable theory, but it's about statistics. You say the electron will end up on this place. Most likely, we don't know for sure, but in 80% of the cases, it will end up here. So it doesn't have to be like, it's still falsifiable, so it is statistic. And also, I get kind of annoyed of this, like, play with word, causation, correlation. I mean, if you want to spend your life defining words, you will end up in infinite regressions, and you can spend all your life doing that. What is a donkey? A donkey is an animal. What is an animal? An animal is a biological organism. What is a biological? You can continue all your life doing that. And I think you mentioned empiricism and so on, and I think that is a better critical rationalism and empiricism is better. And can I ask the nihilist question? Do you speak Arabic?
No.
Okay. Okay, because I mean, I wanted to say like some quotes from the Quran, and I think it's kind of, but if you deny that like ideologies have any kind of like impact on people's behavior, I find that an amazing statement, because I mean, you also test, is it testable that a certain ideology can have a statistic correlation between a certain kind of behavior? I mean, you have, for example, China has occupied.
Well, I think at this point that you're repeating yourself. So I don't know if you want to keep going.
Okay, but I just say this thing. Look at, for example,
All right.
Tibet. I mean, China has occupied Tibet for a very long time. Where are the Buddhist terrorists? Where are they?
There what has been militant Buddhist resistance, well, militant Tibetan resistance to China. And the CIA actually funded them for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into too much of that discussion, but yeah, that's true. But I basically agree with everything that you said, Abu. Everything that you said seemed correct to me, and trivial.
Okay, then maybe I don't understand your point correct.
Well, the point is that sorry, is it Stop Spamming?
Yep.
Yeah, his claim is that there's a causal role, that it's not a mere correlation, right? So that's a different claim. If he was
this is the play with the word. You think causal correlation.
It's not.
It's
important.
They're two completely different claims.
No. Look.
It's like, is ISIS Christian or is ISIS Muslim? Oh, it doesn't matter. Terminology. It matters. These are two.
No, that's not the point. The point is that there is a difference between correlation and between cause. Yes, there is. But it is not that black and white that you can say it's like gravity and bodies and masses. This is the whole point
that's why I said it's not scientific.
You cannot make it a cause and you cannot make it a correlation. We're talking about something different here. And if we carry on talking about what is the meaning of cause and what is the meaning of correlation, then we're going to sit here until doomsday. I agree with Abu on this one. This is why I'm saying let's make it a very clear, very, very precise and concise definition based on examples, and then everybody understands it. Instead of now harping along with whether the correlation is more tightly coupled than a cause. I am not making it a cause. I do not use the word cause, I think at least. I am saying that there is a correlation. I'm saying that there is something that in Islam, if you are a Muslim, the Islam tells you to do certain things. And that is what I see as being there. And this is what is a fact. It is there. And whether you are saying now, no, it's just arbitrary, that there happens to be those words that people are acting on. They're not really acting on this. They're doing this because they're people. And yes, they're saying they're Muslims, and it is in their scripture, but this is irrelevant. Then I'm sorry, I disagree.
I think, okay,
Well, hold on. Can I just respond to that before?
Okay.
We get. It is important whether the point is that the two claims are assessed differently. That's why it's important, and that's why I agree with everything that Abu said, except for the definition being trivial, right? Because if you're saying that Islam causes this, that claim's been falsified, right? Any empirical investigation simply falsifies that.
So what do you want to call this?
But that's like saying in quantum mechanics,
right,
if not all electrons end up on the same place, then the
can I just finish?
But it's not falsified. It's just a statistic correlation. You will see.
All right. Can I just finish what I was saying before? I'll start again. What I'm saying is that if your claim is that Islam causes people to engage in acts of terror, that claim has been falsified. If you're arguing for a correlation, that claim is assessed.
You just said it has been falsified.
Yes.
What do you mean it has been falsified?
What I'm saying is that if you're saying that Islam causes people to engage in acts of terror, and there are Muslims that exist that don't engage in acts of terror, that falsifies the claim.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, can I just say something?
Yes, it does. You have to change the claim.
It does not.
Okay.
If you are gonna,
okay, look. Okay, look. I'll finish what I was saying anyway. So, if the claim, however, sorry.
Whatever you say now is based on a false premise.
What's the false premise?
That's not true.
Okay.
I say it is falsified.
Okay.
It's not falsified.
The reason
You're making a claim and saying,
I think the reason we're having a problem is
the second
you
thing
are holding.
The second thing I'm going to say isn't based on the first thing.
Can I just say something?
I just want to finish what I had to say, and then you guys can continue whatever.
Okay.
So, the first point that I was making is that if you're arguing that Islam causes terrorism, then that claim has been falsified empirically. The second point that I'm making, if you're arguing for correlation, that's a completely different type of claim. And that's something that I may even concede. For example, if you said that praying 5 times a day correlates with being a Muslim, that's not a claim that I would disagree with, right? That's clearly true, and that's empirically verifiable. The point is that the two, it matters which claim you're making because they're assessed differently. That's all I was.
Okay, continuing on that example right there, I think it would be like, does every Muslim pray 5 times a day? No, but being a Muslim, it doesn't cause you to pray 5 times a day. But if you're a real Muslim, statistically, you're more likely to pray 5 times a day if you're a true Muslim. Is that true? Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay, so I guess if you're going to say that what spam is saying is that every single Muslim, if you're a Muslim, then you're going to directly cause terrorism. No, we're not saying that. No one has ever said that. Let's not use the word.
The claim has to be changed because the claim is that terrorism is a massive generalization. You have to specify. Oh, it's actually.
Okay, so what is in between? This is exactly the point. What is in between claim? What Arash is saying is exactly true. What is in between cause and correlation?
What do you mean by in between? I don't understand the question.
Well, you object to the word cause.
Well,
I object to the word correlate. So what is in between?
What if the correlation is 80%? Is it okay if we call it cause then, or is it okay
the correlation is incidental.
No, he already explained this. The causation is indistinguishable, right? I mean, they like the gravity. Right, the two things.
That's wrong. That is wrong.
I'm articulating it
between physics and things like this. There's hardly anything you can put into this category except physics, which is barely even like that. You know what I'm saying? Everything is more not black and white like that. It's much more nuanced.
No, the social sciences. No, the social sciences are still sciences.
The social sciences don't use the scientific method.
They do use methodology.
No, they use methodology. They don't use the scientific method.
No, they use the scientific.
Sorry, that's false. In science.
They use the scientific method.
No, they don't. No. The scientific method is you can't make a claim in science which can't be disproven. But they've made claims in political science, so many political science theories which have been disproven many times, but they're still making the claim. You could even claim that communism has been disproven, but it's still a theory.
I'm not even sure.
Political science technically is not a science. You can hear this from many scientists. They laugh whenever I myself have read. I used to be an engineering major, but I went into political science because I love it. And scientists laugh when you say political science because it really isn't a science. There's a huge difference between methodology and the science method, the scientific method that people in physics and math and biology use. Do not confuse those two.
What's the difference?
There is a huge difference.
No, what's the difference? Explain the difference. You're saying there's a difference. What is the actual difference in terms of methodology?
Because political science, for example, we make an idea, okay, poor people tend to do such a thing. There's so many times where there's exemptions of this, just what we've been saying. There's so many times where we say, okay, if there is a country where there's a dictator and we let democracy in, we let free speech in, after a while they tend to become more liberal and they rebel. There's been so many examples where this didn't happen. There's no theory in political science that is 100% correct about anything. Everything has...
Okay, so what you're saying is that people are making bad theories. That's not the same thing as them having different methodologies.
Tend to is a synonym for correlate with.
Okay, but it's a very strong tend to is what we're saying. We're saying
there are strong correlations too.
Okay, we're saying that
that notion exists in other sciences. There is such a thing as a strong and weak correlation, right?
No. You're going with words again. I'm saying this isn't. There's a difference between scientific method and the political science method. And if you're going to be saying there's no such thing in political science that is so black and white, there is no cause and effect in political science this about ideas. You can't put an idea like that. We're never saying that every Muslim is such. We're saying Muslims, if you're a Muslim, you're more likely to commit terrorism than if you're any other religion put in that position. That's what we're saying.
Well, that
now you can name that whatever you want to say.
More likely, I think there's an emotional factor here as well. In political science, you have an emotional factor. In religion, you have an emotional factor, which you don't have in quantum physics.
What's the emotional factor?
The emotional factor is that you're indoctrinated by parents, that you're indoctrinated by opinions and by propaganda.
Well, it's that science is not immune from that. Hard science is.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I'm talking about quantum science. Quantum science does not have propaganda.
Okay, here's a good example. This comment is exactly on point. The difference between real science and fake science is real science can be repeated, like experiments can be repeated in the exact same position, and such, things like that can't happen in real life. That's why political science can't be testifiable like science can. Do not confuse. I don't know why we're debating on this.
So the difference is just quantity of data. It's way more nebulous and ill-defined in the social sciences.
It's the quality of data.
Okay, so the difference is different kinds of evidence. You haven't yet established different methodologies or the differences between them or why they're different.
You have a different methodology because the data is different.
Yes, we're comparing apples and oranges here, guys.
Yep.
Let's get back to what we were used to be talking to about, okay, let's stop using the word cause because every time we say it, people freak out here. Let's say strong correlation. Is that better?
No. Well, if I take an engine, it is the direct cause for my car going a certain speed. It doesn't mean that it's always doing it. It doesn't mean that every car is doing it, but the cause for my car doing that is the engine. That is what I say is cause.
But then Klingschor is going to say, but then what about your foot? That's pushing the gas and all the other stuff.
This is exactly what I'm saying. I don't want to sidetrack it, but the engine is the direct cause, whether I push my foot down or whether without the engine I can push my foot down as much as I want. Nothing is going to happen. I need the engine.
Yes, you can have a car with an engine that's stationary. So it's not.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But the cause of my car going 280 is the engine. I can push my foot down. I can wish. I can pray. I can do whatever I want. Without that engine, my car is never going to go 280.
The example AWOL had used.
Yeah, but without someone accelerating, the car is never going to go 280.
Okay, but it's always
without the car having wheels.
This is why I don't like this. I am saying of making a very easy example, and now you're making it complicated by saying, but you need this and you need this. No, you need an engine. I don't care what else you need, but you need the engine. If you take away the engine, there is nothing that can accelerate this car in a straight and narrow line on a plane surface to 280. You need to drop it from a plane to achieve that. But otherwise, I
can make the same claim. If you take away someone pressing the accelerator.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's a different claim. That's a different claim.
I have a question. Give me one example in real life of a cause and effect. Give me one example in real life of cause and effect. Not science, not math, not physics. Something large, and just give me one so I know what you're talking about of cause. See, I think you got this in such a detailed way, such a specific way of definition that there's nothing that goes in this. Everything can be split up into different causes. I think the best example is the one AWOL had said about the genes. You need the genes, it's the main thing, but you also need the environment. It's definitely the genes cause, but it's not 100% of the reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So one. Well, I doubt that anyone will be familiar with it, but one would be that private ownership of the means of production causes the average rate of profit to fall over time.
Hey, can you repeat that again?
Private ownership of the means of production causes the average rate of profit to fall over time.
that's kind of a fun example because that's not always true. I mean, that's one of the things that kind of was falsified during Karl Marx's lifetime, because that didn't happen in England.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
Sorry, so I was doing some other things, but what was the statement you make? Because I think it's a funny statement. Isn't that Karl Marx said that? Can you make it one more time?
Yeah, no, that's one of the predictions of the labor theory of value. There are others.
Yeah, sorry, I was doing another thing. I didn't concentrate. What was the claim?
It's one. Oh, well, the claim is that the private ownership of the means of production will cause the average rate of profit to fall over time.
Okay, so is that really true? And
Yes.
Is that really true, like always, and is it really true during Karl Marx's lifetime?
Oh, it's way beyond his lifetime. I can show you. I mean, I can refer you to the empirical evidence for that, if you like.
Okay, then I urge everyone to look up this question and see is that really
let's
true?
not get into this, guys. Give me another example. How about another one, except something that we need to have a doctorate?
They're all going to be related to the labor theory of value.
The labor theory of who? Ali? Ali, like Amir al-Mu'minin Ali?
Sorry?
Which Ali? Like the Imam Ali?
What? What are you talking about?
I thought he said the labor theory of
Labor
Ali.
theory of value.
Okay, I'm so sorry. All right. Okay, can you give us another example? I mean, there must be other things that are causal except this one thing.
Well, the private ownership of the means of production also causes there to be increasing cyclical financial crises over time. They're all going to be based on the labor theory of value. I mean, this gets to where I wanted to get to, which is that what I was going to offer as the alternative explanation is that you need to start with a class analysis, and that's what produces the most accurate predictions in terms of this kind of behavior, right? And I could have given you examples from non-Muslim resistance groups, Muslim resistance groups, etc. And it's always consistent with certain kinds of political activity.
So what does that help?
I mean, this is one of the examples when Marxists, like, it's so funny because this is a really good example of pseudoscience. You want everything to be explainable by like socio-economical explanations, and then you go out in the world and we try to find the explanation for that, and then when you don't find correlation, it's oh my god, it must be something wrong. So it's impossible to falsify. It's just like psychotherapy. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, it's simply not falsified. Everything you can blame on socio-economical things, and if you find any evidence that point to the other direction, you can just dismiss it and then you go on.
Well, if you're saying that there are observations that falsify the labor theory of value, we could talk about that, because I'm not aware of any.
Again, I personally don't think that it's as black as white as you say. I don't really know anything about this as much. I mean, I took a couple economics classes, but it's not enough to talk about. But if we go into this is way off the subject. So,
okay,
is there anything besides this labor theory of value that is causal in the world?
No, I mean my view is that
that's the only thing that's causal.
Given the exemptions that because you're excluding physics, chemistry.
No, I'm saying in our life, relationship between everything else, and not little things like physics and chemistry, which is math based. Can you give me of a causal thing that doesn't take a whole lecture to understand? Give me this, it causes this.
There may be other examples. I'm not qualified in the other areas of science well enough to know them.
If we need a doctorate to label something of a cause, then we're making this such a thin definition. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. We never said every Muslim.
But it's not up to you to decide, right?
But this isn't the science method as we talked about. We're not talking about numbers here. We're talking about in human sense.
The point is that the word refers to a particular concept. You can change the semantics if you like, but it won't change the argument, because the argument that I'm making applies to these particular concepts. You can change your definition of cause to include certain kinds of correlation.
But that is what the definition of cause is in political science and social sciences. It never is about 100% of anything. Haven't you ever heard, like, they say, like, if you raise taxes, it causes this. If you do this, it causes this. This is the terminology that we use. No one ever uses the science word of cause. There's different terminology. It's a different method. I don't know why we're talking about this again.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about economics, I think alternative value theories have been falsified empirically. Right. There's empirical evidence that isn't accounted for on conventional value theories, that is accounted for on the labor theory of value. I mean, I'm not proposing that we get into a lecture about the labor theory of value. I don't think that would be a productive thing to do.
I'm just saying that when we say cause, we're talking about the way people talk normally, and when people use it, politicians use it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
But you're just backtracking to. I already responded to that, right? You can use it as a colloquialism. It doesn't make a difference.
But that's what
what matters is exactly what the claim is, right? If you're basically saying, if you're using cause to also mean certain types of correlation, that's fine. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to say that you're using the term incorrectly, although I do think that. The point is that the way that kind of thing is assessed is different, right? I already conceded that point. Right?
Is it incorrect in social science terms?
I already said that if you're a Muslim, it raises the probability that you will pray 5 times a day compared to other religions or not being religious, right? Being religious raises the probability of you praying full stop compared to not being religious, for example. There are loads of concessions like this that I'm prepared to make. I'm just saying that we need to be clear on the difference between a causal role and a mere correlation. If you're happy to accept that it's just a correlation, we can move on to discussing that claim.
I'll accept that in your definition, the one that you're using, it's a very strong correlation and not cause. But in the social sciences,
fine. Okay, but in that case, that's some progress. So what's the empirical evidence to show that it strongly correlates with Islam?
You don't agree with that? I thought you said you agreed with that point.
Well, it depends what we're talking about. If we're talking about eating halal food or praying 5 times a day, then I probably would. If we're talking about terrorism,
I think we did make a lot of progress. But because this is what the whole thing we've been saying. We've never been saying that it's 100% causal. The whole time.
But then you should not have been saying. You should not have been saying Islam causes. You should have modified your claim then.
Yes,
that claim doesn't make sense.
Okay, but this is how many political science books have you guys read? I'm sure you guys have read books that are about political science or social science. I'm sure you guys have all read books about.
Well, those are mostly the only books that I read.
Okay. They've never used the word cause about anything that is, except apparently the.
Well, I don't know why you want to. We've already.
No, I'm saying we're talking in that terms. We're not talking in math terms right now.
I don't understand. We just made progress on this issue, and you're taking us back to it.
Exactly.
No. I think what we found is now the way to go in between cause and correlation. What I asked for in the beginning.
I don't know what you mean by in between. I understand I think I understand what Arash is saying, which is that he takes certain kinds of strong correlation and includes them in the way that he uses the term cause. I understand what that means.
That's the way everyone in this science in this field uses the word cause. No one uses the word cause in the way you're using it. People use it in academic journals in the way I'm using it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a normal thing.
All right. I don't know if that's true. I suspect it's wrong. But in any case, it's not relevant to the discussion we're having, right? The point is that we've come to a point of agreement.
No, you have agreed with yourself.
Well, I think I'm agreeing with Arash right now.
No, I think we did get somewhere. I'm just saying that
you're saying that there is a strong correlation, right?
Can we use our version of the word cause the way that political scientists use it and politicians use it?
Look, like I said before, I don't mind. You can call it glue glue glah glah if you want to. I just need to know what you mean by the terms.
Okay, I'm just saying. We mean by the term what every other political scientist means: correlation, and a very strong correlation.
Look, do you not understand the difference, right? Causation, even if you use different words to define correlation.
Let's not. I don't think that's going to be productive. But I think what Arash is saying is that it raises the probability that a particular event will happen, right? It's not a certainty, but it raises the probability. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but especially when it's a lot, not just but a lot more than other. It's what's the word in statistics? It's I don't know. Just continue.
Okay, so you're saying that being a Muslim makes you more likely to be a terrorist than if you're a non-Muslim.
Being in the same position, if you could, repeat that same life, being a Muslim is more likely to be than other ones, yeah.
I didn't understand the qualification you offered there.
I'm saying if they both lived the same life, in the same like they were the same poor level and their economics and their parents and the way they were raised, one was raised Catholic and one was raised.
You're saying if you have two identical people, but one is a Muslim and one is not, it's far more likely
they can't obviously be identical because if they were.
That's what you're saying.
They can't be identical because if you're raised Muslim, they tell you kill the infidel or something.
Right, but the same economic situation, the same political situation, but one is a Muslim and one is not. So the one who's a Muslim is more likely to be a terrorist. Is that what you're saying?
I would say yeah.
Okay, I'm saying that's.
And we have to define what terrorist is. I'm saying willing to commit violence, almost.
Well, but then Christians are the most terrorists. By a long way, it's not even close.
But
in fact, Christians and Jews have committed way more terrorism than Muslims.
Then again, coming to define terrorism, kind of what we were talking about last week, I don't consider being in a country versus country war versus, like a knife attack or something. You know what I'm saying? Like in a I don't know, when a Hezbollah does something.
This is an area that I do know a bit about, and these are technical terms. And war crimes count as international terrorism, and these all have strict definitions. I can tell you what the definition of a war crime is. I can tell you what the definition of terrorism is.
What's the definition of a war crime?
The definition of a war crime is simply a violation of either the Hague Convention, the Geneva Convention, or the Genocide Convention, and it has to be between states.
So, you could say that America is a terrorist in invading Afghanistan and
America
Iraq
is a terrorist state, yes. The best example of a terrorist state.
Okay, if we're going to define terrorism as killing
a terrorist state, Israel is another example of a terrorist
state. Okay, I would not disagree that America has killed so many people during all this thing. But I'm defining terrorism as something a little bit different.
That just seems like a falsification of your modified claim, right? It seems like the majority of terrorism is carried out by Christians and Jews. By a long, long way.
No, that's the terrorism that you're defining as just killing people in any number. And besides, terrorism is a bad example. I was saying, or I want to get a little detailed on this.
Okay.
Being a Muslim is more likely for you to kill based on your religion. How about that? More Muslims kill their own because of their religion than others. For example, actually, Hindus might even be up there too, but...
But I just don't understand how you could ever substantiate that claim.
Based on statistics.
To me, it's a bit naive. I suspect it's a bit of a naive analysis. Do you believe?
I was really generalizing right now.
Hold on. Can I just finish the sentences? So it's more productive that way. Do you take Bush seriously when he says that he's doing God's work by invading a particular country? Do you actually think that that's significant?
If the whole country believed this, maybe.
Well, okay, but if Bush believes,
Bush doesn't get his information from the Bible.
Let's say that Bush believes it, but then there's a large number of soldiers that let's say Bush doesn't believe it, but there's a large number of soldiers that do, that really believe that what they're doing is the right thing because their Christian God wants them to do it. Do you think that would be significant?
If you could
this is
find
the Hamzat source.
Because by the way, there are examples that we can use where that's very close to being the case. Hitler being a good one.
Wow, it's taken 1.5 hours before Hitler comes in.
I think we did well to delay it that long.
Godwin would be proud.
I mean, I'd give you this, that Hitler committed Christian terrorism.
But just explain to me how your claim makes any sense. The modified claim makes sense. That Islam makes you more likely to be a terrorist. Because it seems
says so in the book. The Bible does not say invade Iraq.
More specifically, because I would say terrorism is a political act, and because Islam is so political, that's why it's so much more. You know, it's so much. It pretty much talks about.
But I'm saying that it's not more. I'm saying it's less. Right? The empirical evidence is that it's less. So how are you accounting for that?
What do you mean it's less?
I'm saying that the amount of terrorism that they engage in is less than Christians and Jews.
Because your definition of terrorism is different. You are saying America, the USA is a terrorist state because they are invading other countries. So you're calling that terrorism. So if Kuwait is being attacked by Iraq and then the United States comes in and chucks Iraq out of Kuwait, you call that terrorism. I don't.
So you don't call 9/11 terrorism because Osama bin Laden isn't an American citizen. It's between two states. So that's not terrorism.
This is the difference. This is the difference that I'm making in terrorism. For me, terrorism, like I said at the beginning, is private. It's private non-combatants. If somebody throws a bomb into a cinema, that is terrorism. If somebody goes into an office and kills people, that is terrorism. If a country is at war with another one, it is not terrorism.
I don't understand what the distinguishing criteria is.
Wait, so you're saying that there's no difference between Charlie Hebdo
if some troops massacre a bunch of women and children, is that terrorism?
No.
No, because in war that happens, but they don't do it because they planned on doing that from the beginning.
I don't understand what the distinction.
People go in war and they commit atrocities because of the things they see and things that happen to them.
Okay, sure, but what?
That's way different than someone planning and living.
No. See, Charlie Hebdo is another example of that. He was radicalized by the images of the tortured people.
Okay, no.
So again,
dude, we've all seen these pictures. It's not like that. But war is something different. You're saying that this is the same as a soldier. I'm not defending soldiers.
See, now you're changing what you're saying because you just said.
I'm saying this is different from soldiers.
I mean, there have been death counts of like 750,000, where 500,000 are children by the U.S. I mean, is that terrorism or not terrorism?
Okay, so hang on. What is the definition of terrorism? Is any killing now terrorism?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Apparently, every killing now is terrorism.
What is terrorism?
That's not the definition of terrorism that I'm using.
So what definition of? You see, you're always about numbers. You're making these.
Terrorism.
There's one R, is it two R's? Is there an I or an M at the end?
Hold on. Because
you asked me a question and you don't want to hear the answer.
Arash was making a big deal about academic convention before, but what CK is using seems to be the standard academic definition. So do their standard academic definitions matter, or do they not?
There is no standard academic definition for terrorism.
That's false.
Okay.
No, there is debate on what terrorism is.
No, but do you know what the reason? What it's motivated by is that the U.S. can't find something that exempts them from all of the war crimes that they've committed. Right? Because there is no definition.
I'm not even disagreeing with you about all the war crimes that the U.S. committed. This is not even about this. Okay. I'm saying there's a difference.
So let me offer a definition of terrorism then. Right? This is the one that the CIA uses. So it'll be the one that reflects the U.S. in the best light, presumably, which is that it's a premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetrated against non-combatants. If you want to offer another definition, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying that it needs.
That's fine.
So it's perpetuated on purpose against non-combatants, right?
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I'm fine with that too, because I already know that the US annihilates every other state in the world in history in terms of the number of non-combatants it's killed. It's killed 500,000 children when the total death count was 750,000.
Listen, I am sure that those soldiers that are in the U.S. did not sign up to go and kill those children, but the guy who's doing the terrorism did sign up to go kill that Charlie Hebdo guy because of some... You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. I agree with you about the death, but that's not terrorism. Let's do... Can we use the other version of terrorism, which is personal? I like that way that Spam says, personal attacks.
Alright, ISIS is not a terrorist organization because they declare themselves as a state. So I guess they're not terrorists.
I mean, they are not fighting another country. They are in a country and killing non-combatants in that country.
So you're saying that no resistance. You're saying that no resistance to the government is terrorism anymore. So the IRA is not a terrorist organization.
No, I'm not. I'm just making one point. I'm not being as absolute as you try and make it look. Everything that I say, you are making it as absolute. No,
when you're saying that you're not being absolute, all that means is that you're contradicting yourself. You're providing a set of criteria for something, and then you're violating your own criteria. You're just contradicting yourself. I'm saying that I'm happy to use any criteria you want, but it needs to be applied consistently. You're just refusing to apply it consistently to everyone.
I am not refusing to apply it consistently. I am saying if I say it rains in Colorado, then I'm not saying it always rains in Colorado. I'm just saying there is a possibility that it rains in Colorado.
Well, but the problem is you're poorly articulating the point.
We're trying to agree on criteria of what acts constitute terrorism. Right, I'm allowing you to come up with any definition you want.
Okay.
And then all I'm going to say is I'm going to apply it to everybody equally.
I think the questions get us the most places. Do you find any difference between the Charlie Hebdo attack and a war between two nations? Is there any?
Oh, well, yes. There is a difference. Because wars between states involve war crimes. What the Charlie Hebdo was just a crime. Right. It's not an interstate.
So the Charlie Hebdo crime is the same as any other crime?
Yes. What do you mean? It's a murder.
So a murder based on maybe like, let's say for example.
Well, you tell me what the criteria are. If you want to distinguish between certain kinds of crimes and terrorism, I'm fine. Just tell me what the criteria are, and we'll apply them consistently. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying, like, if you want to have some way of distinguishing between what they did and me killing my wife because she cheated on me, I can understand that. I think that's a reasonable.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I would just even throw it out there that maybe terrorism, the way I want to define it, maybe if you would even agree, is something that the weaker party does against the stronger party. How about that? In a violent manner.
So that exempts stronger parties from ever being terrorist, ever engaging in terrorism, no matter what they do.
Because you could say that they have the legitimacy of, they have the power. You know what I'm saying? Like the government has legitimate power.
Okay, so the Holocaust wasn't terrorism.
Yeah, I wouldn't define the Holocaust as terrorism. I define that as genocide or something else, but not terrorism.
Okay.
It just seems really arbitrary.
No. Let's stick with that. So even if we stick with that, right? You're saying that it's more likely to be carried out by Muslims than not.
I would even specificate it more to this period, around this maybe I don't know, however much you want it, maybe 50 years or something.
Into a smaller and smaller box.
That's exactly what you're doing with the definitions, though. I mean, let's, you know.
Okay, we've spent the point of 1.5 hours. Casey,
the point
listen,
of definitions.
We've had 1.5 hours now, and what have we achieved? Nothing. We are still talking about the same thing. You came here and you said, okay, last time we said that there is some sort of a correlation or cause or whatever between Islam and terrorism. Now, all we have done,
as far as I'm concerned, you're actually not making the dialogue worse, because I think me and Arash are actually having a productive conversation right now.
Okay, so are we talking at the same time? Have we been talking at the same time?
Well, it just seems to me that you're complaining while me and Arash are actually making some progress. I don't
You're not
actually
making any progress. What you're doing is you're just specifying.
No, I don't think that's true. I think we have made progress, and I think Arash would agree that we've made progress.
I think we've made progress, but it's taken us an hour and a half to just pretty much define a couple words. But we made progress, nevertheless, I think, compared to where we were earlier. But I think at least we all agree now that Islam is correlated with violence. I think you even said that yourself, right?
No, I didn't agree with that. I'm saying that that's false.
I thought.
I'm saying that's empirically false, right? We just didn't agree on what type of. You want to exclude certain types of violence.
Sahwin, would you like to say something? I'm sorry, he's just been waiting so long. I guess not. He messaged. He was like, "Can I say something?" Never mind. Continue. My bad.
We cannot hear you, Saywin.
I think Klingschor and Robert Pape probably, because he probably has a similar kind of restriction that you have, talking about the weaker parties, because he doesn't include state terrorism in his analysis, and the majority of it was not relating to Islam.
True.
I think we have to change the whole premise after this. Maybe come up with, does Islam make you kill based on religion more? How about, something like that, or maybe,
The thing is that you're sort of trying to force. You've come up with this idea and you're trying to force it to be true, but it's just not. That's basically.
That's because your definitions are so tight, man.
You can change them.
No, oh my god!
I'm saying you can give me any definition you want, but then we have to apply it consistently.
You guys complain when he consistently applies the definition to giving. What the hell? This is, oh god.
I mean, based on what you said, the IRA would count as another example. The Tamil Tigers would count as another example, right? I think Klingschor probably knows way more than I do. Certainly Pape knows more than the rest of us, and he's documented it, right?
Right, yeah. Go ahead.
So someone has already done the kind of research on the subject that you're talking about, right? These non-state, weaker party people, and his academic conclusion based upon one of the most rigorous and largest surveys on this subject came to the opposite conclusion. Religion is insignificant. So there we go. And no amount of pointing to the Quran and saying, oh look, sometimes some Muslims interpret it this way to mean blood. It doesn't make a difference. It's irrelevant.
By the way, the U.S. government acknowledges what I'm saying too. The U.S. government agrees with what I'm saying internally. I don't know if you know about this, or if you keep up with the declassified documents or the literature or anything. But all of their communications indicate that they understand that religion doesn't have anything to do with it. It's all based on the activity that they take. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but what I'm talking about is like 58 with the Eisenhower administration. I don't know if you guys know what I mean.
I mean, our debate's kind of gotten to a different place, but what's the reason why no other person has done this, though? You know, where you could say America's invaded so many other countries, but yet we're pretty much still only infested with Islamic terrorism worldwide.
Well, that's simply not true. That's just the only type of terrorism that gets reported, and there's a good explanation for that. But all of the other terrorism is documented. You just have to look.
What? I mean, have you looked at U.S. rates of terrorism?
Yeah, just look at the U.S. Look at the U.S. government's own documentation on terrorist activity. I'm not even asking you to infer anything that the government is lying about. I'm just saying that the media doesn't report it. You can still, if you believe everything the U.S. government says, word for word, you'll still see that Muslim terrorism isn't what you think it is, isn't on the scale that you think it is. There's a lot of declassified documents that I think would very much surprise you. Have you ever read the 58 private Eisenhower address to his own staff and the discussion with the Security Council?
No.
Well, it's very revealing. So in 58,
wait. Is this the current conditions and political trends in the Near East are inimical to Western interests?
Right, exactly. There were three major crises: North Africa, the Middle East, and Indonesia, all oil-producing states and all Islamic states. And President Eisenhower said in his internal discussion to his staff, there's a campaign of hatred against us in the Middle East, not by governments, but by the people. The Security Council discussed that question and said yes. And the reason that there's a perception in that region that the United States supports status quo governments which prevent democracy and development, and they do it because of their interest in Middle East oil. Furthermore, it's difficult to counter that perception because it's correct. And furthermore, it ought to be correct. They ought to be supporting brutal and corrupt governments which prevent democracy and development because they want to control Middle East oil. And it's true that that leads to a campaign of hatred against them. And I'm quoting. None of this.
What you're reading is a summary of the documents.
I would agree with that. That's.
And if you actually bother to read the explicit manifestos of endless numbers of Muslim militants, again and again and again, they say, we're doing this because of foreign policy, we're doing this because innocent people are being killed. It's even in their cited manner, not that their motivation is the same thing as causation, but if you even look at their cited motivations, it's consistent with this. Although at this point in time, which CK is talking about, it was secular Arab nationalism. That was the dominant ideology. Right? So you have the similar kinds of hatred and activism, but as time changes, it gets articulated in different ways. But the same causal factors are here. You have the same foreign policy and propagation of brutal dictatorships that repress democracy, etc., etc. I mean, you can take Islam in and out, and you have similar kinds of behavior.
Yeah, supporting Israel really doesn't help. Okay, that's not funny.
Oh, sorry, my microphone was muted. Sorry. But does that make sense? Silence.
We've come at an impasse, gentlemen.
Okay.
No, we haven't.
No. Okay, we've gotten to a quiet period. There were other claims that I wanted to address. I just didn't think that we would be stuck on this one that long. But I believe someone said last time that Muslims didn't condemn the Charlie Hebdo thing. I don't know if I misheard. But I did some research on that, and I found about 27 examples of organizations that are Muslim or officials representing countries that are majority Muslim or Muslim countries condemning those attacks. So I made a list. Council on American Islamic Relations, Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA spokesperson, Muslim Council of Britain, French Muslim Council, Union of Islamic Organizations of France, Arab League, Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Organization. I can send you, again, I can send you sources. I can send you sources
that some Islamic groups said that killing people is bad.
I can send you sources with the statements that they made.
They all said that this act was bad.
It's simply not true that no one.
But they also, pretty much all of them, said after they condemned it, they said, "But Muslims are sensitive. If you do this, who knows what's going to happen?"
Can you send me a source for that, because that's not consistent with.
It's not really a source. It's pretty much every Muslim that I've seen in any interview or anything that they've talked to.
Well, what
I mean,
organization?
that's not really
what
true when I say
organization are you
Muslim. That's not
Sorry,
really
what-
true when I say Muslim, because I've seen a lot of secular Iranian things which are totally not like that at all. But that's different. I'm talking about like the people you're talking about, Muslim
Well, even
imams.
Even Saudi Arabia condemned the activity.
And did they say afterwards anything about the cartoon itself, or did they
Not
just
in
leave
the-
it at the condemnation?
Not in the statement that I have. No. The country expressed deep sorrow in response to, quote, this cowardly terrorist attack which is incompatible with Islam religion.
Is this like a tweet or what?
That I don't know, but I can
I mean,
find
I'm
out.
sure that's not the whole thing. I mean, if that sounds like a tweet,
Yeah, but
I
you're
am
guessing.
sure that no. But you really think that the statement is going to be a one sentence?
I don't think a country would. I don't think a country would ever condemn a killing with a caveat. Even if they wanted to, it would be diplomatically stupid.
I
In
can find
the same way, no state would ever condemn 9/11 and say, but you shouldn't bomb these countries.
Yeah,
It
but
would be,
9/11
it would
is
be
different from-
diplomatically idiotic to do
That's
that.
different from hurting or disrespecting the prophet. I am telling you that everything that I've seen. I mean, I've seen a lot of. I'm
Well,
from Iran,
I would
so watch a
think
lot of
most people
Iranian
would
news.
think that bombing these
And
countries is worse.
I don't know, actually.
Okay, well, in the absence of data, no comment can be made. So
No. That's something that's easily checked.
I mean, I'm just saying
we can check.
that's my
I have
opinion.
a
I don't
list.
really want to debate about my opinion right now about that fact.
Okay.
But
Well, I'll tell you I'll tell you what I have to. I have a list of 27 organizations with the statements that they made, which you can check, and I can send it to you.
if you, just write a few on the comment page, like 2 or 3 of them.
Okay. A long one.
All right, thank you.
wow, we can strongly condemn this brutal and cowardly attack and reiterate our repudiation of any such assault on freedom of speech, even speech that mocks faiths and religious figures. Huh.
Yeah, there's 27 of these. I can send you the document. That's 3 out. I'll send you the document if you want it, or I'll send it to Klingschor and he can distribute it.
All right, another silence. Shall we segue into another topic, or?
No, you guys. I'm just looking it up and such. You guys can continue in this.
All right. Well,
Oh,
Are there any
I
other-
guess there was one other subject that's unrelated, which is that well, Stopspamming said at the beginning that communists have a particular ideology that dictates their daily activities and stuff like that. I'd like to know what those are, because I'm not doing those. And I'm not aware of any of those. Or not. We can save it for next time.
Stop, are you there, or are you getting coffee? And now he's rushing towards the microphone, coffee in hand.
But all right, I will. I think that's nearly been about 2 hours now, so I will say thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
Nice talking to all of you, and
It was nice talking to you.
yeah, maybe we'll discuss something again sometime. If you want sources for any of the stuff, then you can get in touch with me through Klingschor. And I can send you any of the documents you want.
Sure, why not?
Okay. Right. See you guys.
Alright, bye. Thanks for coming on. Well, it's 9:55, so should we start wrapping up? Should we get some final thoughts, dig into a hadith for the day, or... Stop, are you there? Can you hear me? I think Stop's... Maybe he's had a stroke and...
I think he couldn't take it anymore. It's just...
Yeah, his head exploded.
It's weird because I had so much notes for tonight, but I came a little late, but we were so much deep in this conversation I couldn't even bring anything up. I'll leave it for next time.
Alright. Well, I actually can't end the show because Stop's the one with the live button. So we actually can't end until Stop appears. So we're just going to have to fill time.
Anyone got any good jokes?
I'm notoriously bad at jokes, so I'm afraid I can't help you.
Anyone else here? Any closing thoughts?
Well, something that we now haven't talked about that I thought was hysterical. When I say hysterical, I mean very funny. Is the Fox News incident with Birmingham and the Muslim.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Actually.
Oh, that was amazing.
But actually, we should talk about that next time. I think that'll be a good hot discussion.
Sure. Stop. Where the hell is Stop? We've lost the navigator. The gin and tonic show is out of control, guys. We're left afloat.
Lucky day for the ladies and gentlemen who love this show.
Yeah.
Extra time today.
Yes. I bet the more conservative listeners have been loving this show. Yeah.
I swear.
Judging by the...
You, man. Everyone else seems to be not here.
I'm reading a comment. This show is done. Klingschor has become an apologist for Islam. Yes, definitely. We're done for, guys. I'm an Islamophiliac now. I guess you got me.
How much are you getting paid by the Saudis? Tell me the truth.
Oh, mate, well, you see, there's the 72 Hur and Ain.
You got that.
I like my women invisible. Obviously.
I mean, I don't know, man.
See-through ankles.
I know they say it's 72 versions. Maybe it's 72 hairy Persians. Who knows what's up there?
Ah, shit.
Klingschor.
Yeah.
I remember the last time we talked about you talked about like ISIS being like pragmatic and cooperating with
Naqshbandis and ex-Baathists.
Yeah, exactly. So it just hit me that Muhammad ibn Abdullah, he was kind of pragmatic guy too. So if you want to make another video or another project, you could like look in the theater.
Wait, you mean the Prophet?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, there's endless fun you can have with the scripture. I mean, there's lots of cool stuff like that.
So yeah, if you want to make a video or something, you can find all the hadith that is about in one way, I always feel that he's kind of the ultimate Machiavellian leader.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, the hadith became a vehicle by which any and all opinions could be legitimized with some sort of, cultural, cosmic legitimacy. So it makes sense that you have all these different hadith with all these different kinds of attitudes because, they have expediency.
Okay, I have to go. Can I just say a last?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I want to say I want to thank that guy, that communist guy, because it's fun to have people with other kinds of opinion, and I really appreciate that. So if he's listening, said I appreciate people with other kinds of opinion, I think. And I also would, it would be very fun if a Muslim would come on the show. So I think
I've
it's
actually been trying to get a friend. He will not come, no matter what. So.
We don't bite. Hasn't he heard I work for Islam now or something? I mean, he'll have my support apparently.
You gotta get him in on it, man. You gotta get him in on it.
You guys done now or what?
Hey, there he
is.
Yeah, we're just doing wrapping up comments.
Okay, good. So I'm just in time.
All right.
Okay.
Where'd you go? We thought you
I
died.
have to go.
No, I left. I couldn't handle this anymore.
The ISIS assassin got you.
I don't like being angry, and I got angry, and I don't like that. So this is, yeah. Okay, because last time I forgot the hadith of the day, of the week.
Okay.
Are we ready for that? Or are we still doing something?
No, I think we're just wrapping it up.
Because I wasn't listening now, so I don't want to like bump anybody or anything.
I got a different hadith of the week this week.
Oh, then two.
Let's just do the hadith of the day, and then we can conclude for now.
Because you gave me the one last time, which I forgot. So I made a point of writing it down so that I remember it today. Otherwise, I wouldn't be happy. So I need to read this. Okay. During the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, I saw a she-monkey. I suppose that's a female monkey, surrounded by a number of monkeys. They were all stoning it because it, the she-monkey, had committed illegal sexual intercourse. So I, who is Amru bin Amum, who I don't know who he's talking about, who I is, stoned it along with him. Is this Muhammad talking? I don't even know.
I is Muhammad, yeah. I is Muhammad.
So Muhammad was standing there stoning a she-monkey because she had illegal sex. Makes perfect sense.
Well, look, Din al-Fitra, the law applies to nature, or something.
Well, anyway, stop spamming. I will be going to my annual pilgrimage, Hajj, going to Port Avalada for 2 weeks, beach and bikinis. So you'd have to come up with the hadiths of the week for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'll be appreciating the Satan for the bikinis and the beach.
Oh yes.
And
just don't throw stones at them.
Okay, if you wanted to make us jealous, yes, we're all jealous.
It's pretty sunny there. Anyway, so what I'll do, I'll leave my hadith of the week when I come back.
Oh, that's not fair. No, come on. Now
you want one? You want this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this one has a little bit of a background. In Islamic theology, there's a suckling. You can establish a relationship like a daughter and a son if a male was to suckle a woman for so many times each breast, and the same thing goes for the female. And also a man cannot have sex with mother and a daughter, even with that relationship. So this is a hadith that kind of uplifts the status of women as well. It's Malik's Muwatta number 30-13. Yahya related to me from Malik that Abdullah ibn Dinar said, a man came to Abdullah ibn Umar when I was with him at the place where the judgments were given, and asked him about the suckling of an older person. A man came to Umar bin Khattab and said, I have a slave girl, and I used to have intercourse with her. My wife went to her and suckled her. When I went to the slave girl, my wife told me to watch out, because she had suckled her. Umar told me to beat his wife and to go to his slave girl, because kinship by suckling was only by the suckling of the young.
But then that would render all the fatwas obsolete, because you have fatwas which we say, yeah, you're allowed to do that.
Oh yeah, sure, you are.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
That's the hadith of the week. Okay, guys, you have great 2 weeks. I will miss you, but I'll listen to the shows when I come back. Don't miss out the hadith of the week.
Brilliant. You enjoy yourself, have fun, and don't burn yourself.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Wear a condom. Bye.
So where's he going? Oh, did he say where he's going on holiday?
Yes, but I couldn't understand the beach name.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, we can hear you finally at the very end.
Okay, next week I'll be on. Now I know that my microphone can work.
Brilliant.
No worries. See you then.
So, I was thinking actually for, have you guys ever done a program on the changing and the evolution of the caliphate and how that related to Shiism and Sunnism and how they interpret things? Have you ever done anything about that kind of stuff?
We have touched upon it, but it's actually something. But it's a subject that I love. There's some really interesting research on this. Do you want an academic source?
Just because I've been doing some things on it, I've been reading a couple books about it. Written by one of them was written by Vali Nasser, is the one I'm on right now, and it pretty much goes into Shiism, and I think it's pretty interesting.
The Shia Crescent?
Yes.
Hey, the book.
Let me close the official show. Then we can talk about this just now. What we do in the future.
The book I happen to be reading on the train today.
Cool.
That's a coincidence.
Awesome.
What are the chances and probabilities for that? Can anyone calculate that?
God clearly exists.
That's funny. It's right here in front of me too.
Okay, guys. Then I'm going to close the official
excellent
show.
book,
See you next week. Say bye-bye, and then we can continue here just now.
All right. Ciao. See you later.
Goodbye, everyone.
I'm off to